Hi everybody and welcome back to Kevin's Upfront Opinion today. So today I was actually a bit stuck on what to talk about or what to do a video or a podcast about today. And then my wife said to me, why don't you do one about paranormal adventures? As you've been on so many um, event, paranormal investigations over the years, why don't you do one? And I thought, Joanne, you're onto an idea there. Now, over the years, I've done about probably somewhere in the region of 40, 50, maybe even more paranormal adventures, okay, or investigations, whatever you want to call them, okay. And I've been to places like Fort Widley. I've actually got a list of the places I've been to. So I've been to the Ragged School up in London, okay, which goes back to the 1800s. I've been to Wymering Manor, Fort Widley, 30 East Drive, and I've been to Manor Farm. Now, obviously, Fort Widley is the one I've been to the most over the years. And a lot of people say, is there anything in it? Is there anything as such as the afterlife, or spirits, or ghosts, and all this type of stuff? Okay. And that's a question I'll come to in a bit. First of all, the first thing I've got to address is how did I come about to actually going on an adventure, these investigations? And the irony was it actually happened by mistake because I was having a chat in the early days of when I first met my wife. And I was chatting to my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. I was round there on a Sunday lunch, just had a roast dinner. And I mentioned this story, okay, because I basically told them that many, many years ago, when I was young, I must have been about 7 or 8, my mum had me babysitting for my brother and sister while she went out on the lash with her husband, my stepfather who passed away. And I remember, I was in the front room, this was like an old Victorian house, okay, and I could feel like something coming down the stairs. And it felt like there was something there behind me, but I was too scared to look. And then over the years, I would always have a feeling that if I was in a house on my own, okay, that there was something there, you know. There's some kind of spirit. Yeah, Jasmine? Okay, I'll get your drink in a minute, okay? Yeah? You can say hello to everybody. You're not going to say hello. You're going to be rude. Okay, I'll get you a drink in just a moment. Yeah? Yeah, okay, we'll get a drink for you in a moment. Okay, so, that's our way of saying hello. So, I've had all these feelings over the years. And I said, why don't you come on a ghost investigation? Your father-in-law does all these investigations. Why don't you go on one? I said, okay, that's fair enough. I'll come on a few. So I started going on them and I went to Fort Widley. Probably must have done it like 20, 30 times. And the thing that they found was I was the type of person I could probably go to Fort Widley 100 times. I am not going to see anything. But what would happen to me, I would be put into places where I would get feelings. And I know people are going to say, Kevin, you're off your rocker. You need to go and get some counselling, or you need to go and see somebody. You need to go and see a shrink. But I get these feelings that there was something there. And it was normally a bad feeling. Now, one of the things is, I now do know the history of Fort Widley. Okay. And there are other places, like some of the places I mentioned, okay, where this would actually happen. Where I would not see a single thing. I could count on one hand out of all the investigations I've ever been to where I've actually seen anything. And there's actually two times, and I can actually tell you where they are and what actually happened. Okay, so the first one of them did happen to be at Fort Widley. We were actually up the North Tunnel, and I was with this rather young, rather attractive lady. Okay, I can say that as my wife won't get too jealous. Okay, and the lights were all off. Nobody was around or anything. Okay, and she screamed. So I switched my torch on, had a look, and she had a scratch which went all the way down like this side, all the way down like that. Now, you could argue it could have been a bat, or it could have been a rat. But she was stood up, so you doubt a rat. But a bat would be plausible because you're in tunnels, and you do get bats in tunnels, and bats aren't exactly known for having good eyesight, which they don't have good eyesight, and the bat could have flown into her and caught her with its like claws or whatever they are. Okay, so that would be a plausible explanation. Occasion number two would be at the Ragged School. Okay, where we were in the basement. It was a pretty boring night, you know. It's probably the worst place I've actually ever been to. Okay, and I was actually on my own. Just happened to be in a corner. I was bored out of my mind. I was thinking, how long have we got left here before we can go? Okay, you know, it was that dull and boring at the time, and I just happened to see something at the corner, and I still don't know what it was to this day. And it could have been nothing. It could have been dust. Could have been anything. Okay. So that would be possible occasion number two. And occasion number three, okay, was at 30 East Drive. Now, when I went to 30 East Drive, I knew absolutely nothing about it. My father-in-law refused to tell me anything about it. My sister-in-law, okay, also refused to tell me anything about it. And they confiscated my phone, so I couldn't even look it up, because I never even knew until about an hour before we were going that I was going to 30 East Drive. It literally got dropped on my lap the afternoon that we were going up to West Yorkshire from the south coast. Okay, so we get up there, nothing's really happening, and my father-in-law says, let's go upstairs. What I don't know is everything happens upstairs, especially on the stairs. Right. And we're sat in this room. Okay, I believe it's kid's bedroom. Okay. And I'm literally just sat in the doorway, My sister-in-law and my father-in-law are right in there. And my father-in-law says, Kevin, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm fine. He says, you look white as a sheep. I said, no, I'm fine. And he says, are you sure you're okay? I said, yeah, I'm perfectly fine. And he says, because I can see like a kid behind you. I said, stop taking a piss. I'm not up for wind-ups today. Okay, I'm in a bad enough mood as it is. It's freezing cold. You've dragged me to West Yorkshire. Okay, I'm not in the mood for wind-ups. He said, no, I'm being serious. I can see a child stood right behind you with its hand on your shoulder. I said, stop trying to wind me up or I'm going to punch you in a minute. Okay, and I actually said this to my father. I ended up losing my rag with him. I was getting really stressed because he's feeling that he's trying to wind me up, but there's some kid right behind me. And he said, "Should we go in the hallway?" I said, "If you want." So he goes and puts this like cat ball on the floor. So for anybody that doesn't know, the idea of a cat ball in ghost investigations is if it moves, it flashes. So it just needs to move like an inch, and it's going to flash straight up. So this cat ball was put between me and my sister-in-law. Okay, and so there's no reason it should move whatsoever. Now, I'll put a little bit of backstory. You know, as much as my sister-in-law's a lovely young lady, I'll say young to make her feel better, we don't get on very well. And I'll just leave it at that. So, he made us stand right next to each other with this cat ball between us, and we see it flash. And we absolutely shit ourselves. Sorry for the language, it scares the crap out of us, and I fucking jumped into our arms. I had never moved so quickly in all my life when I saw this ball literally move and light up. It's the only time I've been scared out of my wits out of all the times I've been on ghost investigations. And that was it. That's all that happened all night. You know, and this is supposed to be one of the most highly haunted places in the UK. So the question is, do I believe in anything such as places being haunted? And for me, it's a difficult one to actually answer. Um, because I've never actually really physically seen anything. It's not like I've seen Slimer or the Marshmallow Man, if you want to go back to Ghostbusters. You know, I've done Ouija boards and everything. And the problem with Ouija boards is most people push it. They don't realise they're doing it, but they normally push the glass, or if you're doing glass work, you know, whatever, however you're doing it, most people end up pushing it. So, if I'm brutally honest about it, I like to think that there is something there. But when I take into account I've probably done 40, 50 investigations, I've never actually got any evidence to back it up. But there is anything there. And I'm waiting for that one time when I actually go on an investigation. And I've been on an investigation probably in about three years, okay, to actually be proven that there is something there. Okay. So if you've had a better experience or a different experience to me, whether you've been on lots of them or only a